Hauptquartier des Führers sprach der Oberkommandierende des Heeres am 15. März 1946 über die jüngsten Erfolge der deutschen Armee. Voller Zuversicht, dass der Endzieg in nur wenigen Jahren zu erreichen sei, sprach er dem großen Fortschritt der deutschen Waffentechnologie unter der Führung von General Wilhelm Strasse einen großen Anteil.
Wolfenstein: The Old Blood is a first-person shooter developed by Machine Games and published by Bethesda Softworks. The game was released on May 5th, 2015 worldwide digitally, and then on July 21st, 2015 physically in North America. The game serves as a prequel to Wolfenstein: The New Order. In the very first level of the New Order, William B.J. Blazkowicz and whatever forces the rest of the Allied forces can muster up go on an all-out attack on General Deathhead's compound. The main objective in the prequel is to get the intel that shows that compound's location. In this game, The Old Blood, you play as the same character as in the New Order, BJ, and together with another operative, infiltrate Castle Wolfenstein, which is under the command of Helga von Schaps. Helga is leading the paranormal division of the Nazi research team. In little to no time, you're ousted by Helga's second-in-command, Rudy, who's known for his extreme torture methods as well as feeding people to his dogs. Once you're thrown into what is literally a pit of despair, you climb out and make your way out of Castle Wolfenstein while looking for that valuable folder of intel that will reveal the location of General Deathhead's compound. The Old Blood is a prequel to the New Order. The New Order was essentially an attempt at rebooting the old school first-person shooter franchise for the then new generation on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. As such, the game was mostly focused on the gameplay and less on the story. So for this game, don't expect this incredible, dramatic take on this alternate history where the Nazis are winning World War II because of their insane advance of technology. It's a story that takes you from A to B with absolutely no confusion on the way. It's almost like going back to reading Cat in the Hat as a 23-year-old. It's a relic of old times and you'll enjoy your read even if you didn't grow up with it, but if you have a hard time understanding it, then that's your problem. There was a tiny twist towards the end of the game that I'm not sure if I should spoil or not, but it came out of nowhere. But it was done in a way that I can describe as good fun, because even the character makes a note of how strange it is. If I could summarize the story into one word, it would be enjoyable. There really isn't a colorful cast of characters, but that's okay. This is only a short prequel to the main game, but for the small amount of characters in this game, they're decent. Helga, the main villain, isn't likable. And not just because she's a Nazi, but she's definitely got her own personality. Rudy Yeager, the second in command, is the same thing with him not being totally memorable, but he's got his own personality. Definitely the star of the show, though, is BJ, you, the player character.
If you do not want to feel this pain, which is completely understandable, you need to answer my question without hesitation. So, who is your contact in the village?
Claus.
Who is this Claus?
Santa Claus.
BJ is your average American Joe, but somehow at the top of his class with his particular set of skills. He'll crack jokes even in the face of danger, and his constant whispering to himself keeps him alive in your mind. Usually when you play a first-person shooter, characters die when you play as them, and what I mean by that is that, for example, in Advanced Warfare, you talk here and there during cutscenes, but then they don't say a word during the gameplay, and you totally forget about the character you're playing as. They essentially die in your mind. You see them again in a cutscene, and you're like, oh shit, that's right, I'm playing as this guy. In The Old Blood, BJ is hands down the best character, and it's great that you're actually playing as him. He's definitely not built up like a proper character, but he's definitely likable. The visuals are decent. The original was released on just about every system that was available at the time, so although this game was only released on the newer platforms, it's probably not insane to think that the development of this game was considered for the older generation. If you played the main game, The New Order, and you play the Old Blood, you won't see a difference in visuals. They aren't outstanding, but they're definitely passable. I wouldn't go as far as saying the character models are realistic, but they're also pretty decent models. Sometimes, if you get extremely close to a part of the environment, you can also see the details plastered onto it. There was a moment where my character fell or jumped down, and so you get an extreme close-up of the floor, and rather there being a piece of trash on the ground, it was just literally painted onto the ground. But these little things are only noticeable when you look for them, except for that example I just mentioned, but even then, it's the one time it happened and it was easily forgotten. The music is nice and it creates a certain type of ambiance. The cool music actually kicks in whenever you're in a firefight and really adds to the type of run and gun gameplay this type of game is known for.
Also, ich legte im Bett neben diesem Mädchen und... Was?
Du hast im Bett gelegen, nicht gelegt.
Legen, liegen, wo ist der Unterschied?
Du legst Eier. Du liegst im Bett. Ich nehme an, du bist kein Vogel, oder?
Willst du jetzt die Geschichte hören oder nicht?
Die Sprache richtig zu können ist wichtig.
Warum hackst du ständig auf jedermanns Grammatik rum?
Weil ich an die Erhaltung der Reinheit unserer wunderschönen Sprache glaube. Damit wir nicht der Barbarei verfallen.
Na, dann erzähle ich die Geschichte eben nicht.
Ich sag ja nur, wenn wir...
Ach, halt die Klappe.
Don't worry, Wesley. I've got a plan. Break into the keep, kill every goddamn Nazi in there, set you free. Then we get the hell out of this place and contact Kessler in the village tavern.
The voice acting is also pretty good. BJ's performance is also the high standard. Everyone else is really good, but BJ has a nuance to him that makes him more human, if that makes any sense, and it really comes to mind when he's whispering to himself. BJ could easily be some generic American man that is constantly joking in the face of danger, but the self-whispering really brings a little balance to that actual normal conversation. It's difficult to explain, but I really like that little nuance. As all games of this type, the gameplay reigns supreme. So what is the gameplay of Wolfenstein: The Old Blood? Well, it's simple, and in the words of Lieutenant Aldo Rain from Inglourious Bastards, and once we're in enemy territory as a bushwhacking guerrilla army, we're going to be doing one thing and one thing only: killing Nazis. Again, if you find yourself confused with the gameplay, then that is a personal problem. The game allows for you to take cover and lean to shoot, but you can tell the game was more built for you to run cover to cover, guns blazing, using cover only to reload before going back out there. It takes a little getting used to, but once you do, it's a lot of fun. That's all the game is, shooting Nazis dead, which is the biggest part of the Wolfenstein charm. As you play, by completing certain tiny optional goals, you can get upgrades for yourself. For example, if you kill a certain number of people with dual-wielded weapons, you'll get an upgrade that allows for more ammo pickups. I don't think it's possible to get them all in one single playthrough, especially in your first go, but the game doesn't make you feel bad for not getting them either. The upgrades are out of the way in your menu, so it actually feels like an achievement for doing so, because you didn't have to do it, and you got rewarded for it. There are also a lot of collectibles throughout the world, but they're nowhere near plastered everywhere like in any Ubisoft or Arkham game. If you see one, you pick it up, but the collectibles in every level is actually manageable. Along with collectibles, there are letters and notes you can read that give you more background into the world of the Old Blood, or at least some insight into the characters, so they're definitely worth a read from time to time and aren't just there because video game. The guns are limited, but for a 3-hour prequel experience, it's actually a lot. You get your pistol, shotgun, assault rifle, single shot rifle, and a special little explosive pistol. With the exception of the last two, you can basically dual wield all of them, and each of them have a little alternate ability you can trigger with the press of the button. For example, the pistol can give you a silencer with that press of a button, or your assault rifle can become a short burst rather than automatic. It's not really a special ability, but also things that they didn't need to be there, and they're things you can toggle with a button, so it's appreciated nonetheless. The game also features stealth segments where you can just sneak around your enemies and pick them off one by one. However, there's no penalty for messing it up. You mess up going silent, you do what you're best at, run and gun. You don't mess it up? Well, you just got past an area without having to waste more ammo. All in all, Wolfenstein The Old Blood is a fun little experience that wasn't necessary, but was welcomed. I bought this game for full price on PSN a little while after it came out, and I managed to beat it in the same day. This time for the review, in 2017, I beat it in about 3 hours over 2 days. The game is short, but it's a fun little experience that's worth trying if you enjoy first-person shooters. It's fun to give a go, and a great way to dip your feet into a different type of FPS. The story is short, but it's enjoyable. The characters aren't memorable, but BG can give you a good laugh here and there. The audio and visuals are good, and the gameplay is actually pretty fun, and it's short enough to the point where you won't get bored. I think I bought this for $19.99 on PSN, but it might be less now. Regardless, for $20, I think this game is worth it, and for anything less, it's definitely worth it. So my recommendation is to give it a try if you either like the first-person shooter genre, or want to try a different type of first-person shooter, or if you actually just liked Wolfenstein The New Order. So for me, Wolfenstein The Old Blood gets a 7.5.
Looks like a dusty old map. What secrets are you looking for, Helga?
Out of 10.
Was ist?
Chin up, Englishman. Wir bringen ihn zur Festung.
Found you.